It's WNCW Beauregard, high on a mountaintop, direct to us from the Boulder, Colorado area they are, I believe, out in Hot Rise Country. Joe Greene here in Studio B, our Studio B sessions on WNCW made possible by Sierra Nevada Brewing Company. Welcome, Willi Carlisle. How you doing, brother?
I'm awfully good. Thanks for having me.
It's great to have you. Your first time in Studio B?
Yeah, very much so. Yeah,
Well, let's lay a song on them one time.
All right, let's do it. This is Your Heart's a Big Tent. This morning a miracle happened as promised, the rising of the world's closest star. And the almanacs warned us that the fast-coming weather might blow us away like dandelion flowers. And if I had a nickel for every time I've taken shelter from the storm alone and naked in my bed sheets, I could pay off all my loans, buy some nicer clothes, find a job that didn't always scare me. I've been trying not to think before my third cup of coffee. Oh, your heart's a big tent. You gotta let everybody in. Doesn't matter who they are, if they do right or where they've been. Everybody gets in. I think I know a secret, still not really sure. Somewhere between I'm living and I believe I can fly. What's up? So I saw the devil in a used bookstore. He was ripping up and spitting on Catcher in the Rye. And I'm coming to myself like a man finding religion. Am I baptized, drowned, or washed in the blood? If life's an open field, I'd like to plant a garden and get ready for the fire and the flood. I need a theory of all love, like the heart's a big tent. You gotta let everybody in. Doesn't matter who they are, if they do right or where they've been. Everybody gets in. My conclusion's not a great one. I'll leave that to you smarter ones. The soul is an idiot. It doesn't care why. Whatever you do with it, the gift's a pretty simple one. Just sing until you love yourself and love until you die. And I've seen the trees like pillars full of blood, chlorophyllic laughing, swaying in their glory. I've seen the sparrows in the air, a light on branches there, and there's no way that they're afraid of being 30. If I can't live clean, then I'd better love dirty. Oh, your heart's a big tent. You gotta let everybody in. Doesn't matter who they are, if they do right or where they've been. Everybody gets in. This morning a miracle happened as promised. The rising of the world's closest star.
Willi Carlisle here in Studio B on WNCW. You know, for me, that song kind of runs through what I feel like is a lot of your theme throughout the album. You know, it has to do with our world and things that divide us and the walls we put up and stuff like that. Am I off base on that?
No, I was just right. My first thing I was going to say was thank you for. I think that's the reading I want people to get. You know, that's a pretty simple song. You know, it's the thesis statement of the whole thing. I'm not trying to bury the lead, right? This album about trying to love everybody, and the perils kind of therein and the stuff that gets in the way. You know, you want love and compassion to be a superpower, and a lot of times in this world it comes off as a liability. You know, I don't have a lot of experience which is to say, I've only been a few places. We were just talking about, I just came back from Europe. It's a big cultural experience for me, but for the most part, I'm just a guy that roams around the country in their van and talks to people and plays folk songs. And from that experience, I can say, like, it's just a lot less divided to me than people think, than maybe the media portrays it to be, or than maybe we think of our neighbors as. I think America is like a lot weirder and a lot more. We have a lot more in common, and we're a lot stranger than maybe we get told to think by our supercomputers.
I believe you're right. What I experience is similar to what you're saying. What I experience in interacting with other people out in our everyday world is different than what the media tries to portray it to us as. And I think people realize that maybe we aren't as divided in our day-to-day lives with other people, but it almost feels like they want us to be, and that's really frustrating, isn't it?
It's got to be some kind of like, I'm not here to propose solutions, just love, right?
Right.
Here at 33 in my Jesus year, I'm wondering what I can give up, and I think it's coherent ideas about what we should do besides just try to be nice to each other. And I think it's better for the algorithm, the almighty algorithm, to pretend to be pissed off all the time. And I'm pissed off. I was born pissed off. I think I'll be pissed off for a long time. I think that helps in this profession. But I'm not pissed off at people. I'm pissed off at like large groups of people that decide it's okay to foment that kind of discombobulation, that kind of like aggression that people have towards each other for the purpose of making a quick buck.
Well, you're here, and you've been traveling. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. But you're here in support of this second record, isn't it? Your second album?
Yeah, I guess you could call it my second. I got 2.5. You never know how to count the EP. Yeah.
But Peculiar, Missouri is the name of this new one.
Mm-hmm.
And is that an actual place? I did not look it up. I wanted to wait and ask you about that.
Yeah, Peculiar, Missouri is actually a lovely little town. I'll play the song about Peculiar in a little bit, but it's a really beautiful little town south of Kansas City. And I found myself driving through it all the time, and it was often a place where we were exhausted, where we needed to rest. And, we'd search for some place to go around that city. And I got to thinking about the easy pun, living in Missouri. I actually love the state of Missouri. But to be in a weird misery feels sometimes like the condition that we find ourselves in. I definitely found myself in that position in the pandemic where it was like I couldn't quite explain the ennui that I was feeling. But every time I talked to my friends about it, it was like we were feeling the same thing, a total disconnection. There's a lot of talk about like, finding joy, finding your bliss, finding that kind of thing. I do think that it's becoming harder. And so the album's essentially about finding joy and love, even when you don't have a comfortable place to sleep.
We're going to talk about that too, about one of your other songs on here coming up here in just a little bit. I don't know, that may be the song you want to play next. I don't know what your set list looks like today. It's always nice to be surprised here in Studio B. But yeah, Missouri, nice area. And Willie, you come from Arkansas, right? Is that where you were born and raised?
I was born and raised in Wichita, Kansas. I've lived in Arkansas for about 10 years. Which is not long enough to fully naturalize me to the natural state, I'm aware, but I'm a true convert, basically to the Ozark Mountains of Arkansas and Missouri, to the extent that I can understand a place I've only been in for 10 years. That might be the coolest thing about the Ding Dang USA, is that it's so vast that you could just explore the various bioregions of Arkansas and Missouri and for decades and still not know very much. And I actually found that in the Ozarks. It's one, well, maybe two, depending on who you ask, bioregion, and there's tons and tons of stuff that I still don't know. So I guess that's been the focal point of my music apprenticeships and my love.
Mm-hmm.